to my channel, Coin Lady, and thank you for returning. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse has spoken out in response to a couple of big stories that broke in the crypto realm yesterday and today. I will tell you exactly what he said this afternoon, fresh, new material from him, especially around the subject of what would constitute a political red flag, since things are clearly changing. And I'm sure everyone in the US who doesn't reside in Iraq is aware of that. The news is significant enough even for those who aren't located in the US. To say it has reached you would not surprise me. But first, I'll show you a couple headlines. Here's one from a CoinDesk, before we get into this. Investors in Bitcoin are getting ready for a wild ride as attention turns to Trump's address at the Nashville Bitcoin conference. Just in case you missed the news, former President Trump will be the featured speaker at the Bitcoin conference. There has been some speculation of major news surfacing, which, honestly, would cause some crazy price jumps for Bitcoin, probably. You can see him mentioned here alongside other famous people like RFK Jr., Michael Saylor, and Cathie Wood. However, I will not claim that I believe this. In any case, here's what the headline from a Nashville-based news station says: Trump is rumored to deliver a historic speech at the Nashville Bitcoin conference. It has been speculated that Trump may support the idea of Bitcoin serving as a reserve asset for the US, however I must reiterate that I do not believe this. It goes without saying that this would be wonderful news on a worldwide scale, given the dollar's status as a reserve asset. The currency is in a perpetual state of debasement and brokenness, but that isn't going to stop us Americans from wanting it our way. I can only speculate as to what might happen if he actually made the announcement. Just because it's in the headlines and everyone seems to be talking about it doesn't mean I believe it. Next, we have the problem of making crypto-related discussions seem politicized when, in fact, they shouldn't. Take a look at the headline. I do have some insight from attorney James Murphy, and just so you know, Kamala Harris is not going to be presenting at the Bitcoin Conference 2024. I will mention that later in the film since he also has an opinion on some of these things. James Murphy, who is now an attorney, is assisting John Deaton with his Senate campaign. You may remember that attorney John Deaton is challenging Senator Elizabeth Warren in the Senate race, and I'll also share with you what attorney Murphy has to say. Just so we're clear, I don't come from a financial family or anything. You should absolutely not put your money where your mouth is and invest based on my recommendations. I am not a financial advisor. Well, I must admit that I'm nothing more than a casual YouTuber who enjoys dabbling in crypto for the sake of amusement. In passing, I will simply address the article's introduction. The authors of the work are Eleanor Terrett and Charlie Gasparito Fox, and the title of the book is Wyoming Business. During the meeting in Nashville, Senator Loomis intends to unveil legislation establishing a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Okay? Legislator Loomis is an advocate for Bitcoin's maximum value. Not my cup of tea. She might now advocate for this. Such she would advocate for such is a reasonable assumption to make. I might be able to purchase that. On the other hand, having the president is quite different from that. This is a very other matter, though, because former President Trump has already stated that he intends to do just that if elected. From my perspective, why a senator who believes in Bitcoin's potential to reach its full value would advocate for this? It's hardly shocking. View this now. Senator Cynthia Loomis of Wyoming, a Republican who is pro-crypto, is also hoping to make headlines as she readies herself to announce that she is drafting new legislation that could significantly impact the growing crypto industry by officially recognizing Bitcoin as a mainstream financial asset. This comes just before President Trump is set to address an estimated 20,000 Bitcoin enthusiasts in Nashville, Tennessee later this week. 3 crypto professionals familiar with the measure told Fox Business that Loomis has been secretly preparing to introduce legislation at the Bitcoin conference that would mandate the Federal Reserve to keep a portion of Bitcoin as a reserve asset. I could see a senator who is a Bitcoin maximalist advocating for this, but she has a history of being against XRP. She has consistently opposed alternative cryptocurrencies. This senator in particular does not have my support. I simply think such mindset is completely incorrect. I have been opposed to her approach to cryptocurrency since 2017 because I despise maximalism. Quite the opposite, in fact. Its power is limited. Too many coins serve various purposes for various businesses and individuals. It is obvious that many of them are here to stay because they are already deeply rooted. Plus, she's a maximalist. For various reasons, they would like to see a single coin imposed on all others. Maxentialism is something I despise. Stupid is the best way to describe it. And, naturally, political affiliation. Oh no. Oh no. The headline here is that Bitcoin conference will not be hearing from Kamala Harris. The speculation began yesterday with a post by David Bailey, leading many to believe that she would truly do it in 2024. He runs the Bitcoin conference, where Donald Trump will be speaking, and Bitcoin magazine. Clearly, this was not an idle rumor. Here we have an eyewitness description of the possibility that Kamala Harris, who is currently in first place in the race for president in the next November U.S. election, will be giving a speech. According to yesterday's piece, discussions were underway with Kamala Harris to have her speak at the conference. Doing so would be a brilliant move on her part to reposition the Democrats' position among the country's fastest-growing voting cohort. It would have made me pleased to see that, but alas, they are making a decision today. No one's political beliefs are important to me. Partisanship has no place here. It would be great to see lawmakers from all sides of the aisle join forces, shout kumbaya, and agree that crypto makes sense, that we should do all in our power to establish transparent regulations and ensure everyone's safety, and that crypto is obviously here to stay. I believe we will achieve that goal in due time. However, it is biased. With a few notable exceptions, Democrats are generally not in favor of cryptocurrency. In contrast, Republicans are overwhelmingly in favor of it. It would have been great to see a change here, especially considering Biden's prospective presidency, considering the administration's long history of negativity and their stance against cryptocurrency. Yes, that is a genuine possibility. Tyler Winklevoss redistributed that. Here we are at yesterday, tomorrow we will discuss today's events. Talk is cheap, he remarked. To regain control of the crypto voting bloc, she must first terminate Gary Gensler's employment without delay, cease all SEC enforcement operations against law-abiding entities, and put an end to Operation Choke Point 2.0. Am I correct in thinking that it's time for a change? As you'll see when I comment on Brad Garland's houses in a minute or two, I'd be astonished if she did the same. Very well. He's showing flexibility. The removal of Kim Jong-genzer perhaps the most glaring example of how this strategy fails. You know, I'm simply not giving it my all. I mean, she could have used that chance to try to persuade some people to rethink their thoughts if she had agreed to speak at the Bitcoin conference. Since both traditional and online news outlets will be covering the event's anticipated 20,000 attendees, it would be wise to implement Operation Choke Point 2.0, which entails blocking access to the cryptocurrency market. I mean, aren't you referring to the monetary flows that go into Bitcoin exchanges and anything like that? Beyond that, though, it remains. David Bailey then informed us this morning that it is not going to happen. In addition, he announced that Bitcoin conference keynote speaker Kamala Harris would not be appearing. As expected. In the midst of her efforts to lock developers up, export our sector, and undermine proof of work, what message does she have for us? She would have suffered greatly as a result. Now that the spotlight is on Trump, I feel compelled to point out something that differs significantly from his remarks the day before. He claims that, naturally, it would have been a catastrophe. Look at what he wrote here yesterday, she said and talked there, but it would be prudent for her to reposition the Democrats on the list of voters who are expanding at the highest rate in the nation. It was wise to do it yesterday. She expressed her intention not to participate. Oh, and now he's admitting that it was a poor decision all along. Okay, I apologize, I just couldn't help but notice that. She ought to be doing something to alter the mood, but I can't help but notice it nevertheless. She ought to be, without a doubt. Being against cryptocurrency is illogical. Thank you for watching my channel and for subscribing. I'll see you later.